What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. It's Julian here, your host. And today we're going to kind of just talk about some of my failures. And I'm going to kind of break it down from kind of what I've failed at throughout life, the things that I've tackled, how I've overcome obstacles, setbacks, and why failure is so important to anybody out there that is a firefighter in training, and how many lessons you can get from failure, because ultimately failure is the greatest teacher. Like, you will learn lessons from failure that you will never learn from success. So really, we got to bring it back to the beginning and where I first failed. And that was really getting into fire school, right? Getting into fire school, I failed in preparation. And that ultimately led to me failing out of fire school. My preparation was non-existent. And in a field that really has life and death on the line, your preparation is truly paramount. Like, you have to prepare mentally, physically, and be the best that you could possibly be. If you're not near that 9 out of 10, if you were to rate yourself, 10 being the best that you could be coming into this profession, it's probably not for you, because you got to really ask yourself, if you were in a dire emergency and you needed somebody to come save your life, what would you want? Right? So that takes really a level of maturity. And that's sometimes a part of failure, is teaching you that you got to kind of grow up a little bit. So where do I come from? Right? I come from really a family that loved and gave me so many opportunities, and the opportunities were endless. But with that, I don't think I faced as much adversity as a kid that other people have. And that's where kind of the entitlement came in, and I wasn't really ready for that opportunity of being a firefighter. And I want you all to know how important being a firefighter is, and the level of seriousness that it takes to achieve that goal and be the best that you could possibly be. Like I said earlier, it's life and death, and it's not to be taken lightly. It's going to take everything you got to be the person that you would want rescuing yourself and your family. So when it comes to maturity and it comes to understanding what it takes, it's going to always be bigger than you. It's always going to require more than you thought you could ever give. And that inevitably will put you in the best position to be the best firefighter out there. All right. The number one trait that every firefighter has that I've respected, I've looked up to, is the utmost amount of selflessness. Like, they put the team, the mission above themselves. And that's so important. But before they do that, they have prepared themselves to be the best team member for that team or crew. They've put themselves in position to be the best asset on any call, right? Because when they do that, they then can worry about everybody else, because they know they're prepared. They've prepared themselves to, rise to that moment or be an asset in any area, in any situation that they're put in, right? So that first major failure where I did not prepare for fire school and I was removed from the program because I did not meet the standard, taught me the biggest lesson that I've learned till this day in life. And that is that your preparation in anything you do will dictate the outcome. Now, sometimes we can prepare as much as possible and still come up short. But that doesn't mean that we didn't control the outcome, right? Sometimes the outcome's out of our control. And what we can do is prepare. If we come up short, then that's a part of the process. That's a lesson we got to chalk up, and then we got to move forward from that. But at least we can say we gave our all and we were best prepared for that situation. Now, sometimes, and in most cases that I've seen throughout my coaching and coming up in the fire service, a lot of people prepare incorrectly. And that's kind of the worst thing to see, is somebody who puts in countless time, countless hours, and they're just doing the wrong thing. They're not developing their mindset. They're not developing their endurance, their stamina, their strength. They're focusing on one area or doing what they're really good at and kind of ignoring and neglecting the stuff that's also important, but that they're not really developing in. And when they come out to become a firefighter, or they're put on that call where it's somebody's life that's on the line, those things that you've neglected will be exposed. And unfortunately, it's not as simple as calling a timeout or, just having a bad game. You're affecting somebody's outcome. And that's why it's super important that we control that variable of preparation, right? So from here on out, after that lesson in my life, I've tried to my best of my ability to prepare for every situation, whether it's, physically, mentally, if it's, intellectually with testing in as far as, the medical side or the fire side or any type of books that I've had to read or classes that I've taken. The preparation is the same as it is in the physical arena. There's really no difference, because when somebody does good on a test, it's not an accident. They didn't just magically get 100%. They put in the work, they prepared. And the people that prepare usually have a way different outcome than the people who just wing it and show up. So we kind of move on through the failures of my life personally. And where we got to was the next one is the EMT certification, right? Showing up to that national certification, not mentally ready for the caliber of a test that it was. And we came up short in that arena, right? So I had applied to physical preparation, but I hadn't applied that mental preparation yet. And I came up short. So for me, studying was super difficult. It was like pulling teeth, because I've always had a hard time focusing. I've always had a hard time of sitting still and really just digesting information. So it was honestly almost as hard as running 100 miles or becoming a Florida smoke diver, because of how difficult it was for me to just focus. But the number one thing I want you guys to take away from this entire podcast is that if it's something that you want, if it's something that you can see, visualize, and you believe from the deepest part of your soul that you could do it, then you can do it. And you won't let anybody or anything stop you. The number one thing I see out there is people let themselves get in the way of achieving whatever it is that they want to do, right? Just like remove yourself. Stop putting those limiting beliefs on yourself. And instead of finding every reason why you can't, why it won't work, why it's going to be a difficult path, all you need to do is find one reason why it will. And that should be your motivating drive and focus. And for me, it was always becoming a firefighter. Like, I didn't have another choice. So we studied, we passed that test, and we moved forward, right? So kind of moving along, and we get to my first probationary test, all right? And this was just not enough time, not enough reps with certain equipment, certain evolutions, and I came up short. I remember I had a training chief in Marion County that sat me down and said, hey man, you're not meeting the standard in these areas, and we're going to train you up and we're going to reevaluate you. And that was kind of a huge moment for me. And for anybody out there in a position to do that for somebody, understand that sometimes it does take a couple extra reps. It does take a little bit more attention. And that doesn't mean that they're not worth it. It just means that they need a little bit more time doing the actual skill set or reviewing whatever item it is to get a hold of it, get a grasp of it. So we did that review, and I remember there was so much pressure, anxiety, and fear when I came, the next shift for that reevaluation. But all I did was envision, review, and practice what we had went over that day. And again, like, I believed from the bottom of my heart, like I had what it took, that I was going to pass this next test to get off of probation. And I did, right? Was I nervous? Of course I was nervous. You're going to be nervous. It's just a part of the game. But throughout it, we got through that specific part. And the lesson there was, don't underestimate anything, right? Everything that you come across in your life, don't for one second think it's going to be easy, that it's not going to be presented with challenges, adversity. Like, those things are going to happen, okay? So kind of moving on from there, we had a good, consistent building of the foundational skill set of being a firefighter, the information of understanding what my job was, what the equipment was that I had access to utilize on a fire, on an extrication, on a medical call. And we kind of pushed forward to paramedic school. And throughout paramedic school, it was, again, that same struggle of mentally having a hard time focusing. And I want you to understand that most firefighters do have ADD and ADHD, and it makes them really good at this job specifically. But the testing side of it with the intellectual part can be kind of challenging. And I don't want anybody to be like let down or strayed away from becoming a firefighter because of that. Again, you just need to find one reason to figure out how you can make it work for yourself. So we got through paramedic school. It was a drag being on duty. And that was all about using the classmates that I had to study and to push through, right? You have to use people that are also in an environment that's challenging to get through whatever situation it is that you're struggling with. In that point, it was just study groups. Study groups were huge. And that year went by with so much ease because I had other people that I could depend on. And so we get through paramedic school, and here's the next failure, which is the paramedic, national certification. That was the hardest test I've ever taken to this day. And it took countless hours of just studying and studying and studying to the point where I read the book front to back 3 times. And people always ask me, they DM me, hey man, how do I, get through these testing processes, and how do I do well in school? It's simple. It's not easy, but it's actually super simple. All you have to do is study really, really hard. Like, you need to read the material. You need to absorb the material. And for some people, that takes more effort than others. And that's just what it is, right? You get through that. So we finally passed that paramedic test, and we're kind of trucking along, right? We start taking our TRT classes, and these classes are epic. For anybody out there, your rope rescue, your confined space, your trench operations, your, vehicle extrication classes, like all these classes are amazing. And then we get to the point of attempting smoke divers. And I was just an ambitious kid that thought he was fit and in shape until I was put in an arena that was not the case. And this goes to show you don't know what you don't know, right, guys? Like, so many people think they're a certain thing until you're immersed into a group of people that are way better than you at a specific thing. And then you realize, like, maybe I'm not that good at this specific thing. And that's the type of environment you want to be in. That's the room, that's the group you want to be surrounded by, because more often than not, you stay in your own level of comfort. You don't really get outside of your comfort zone. You do what you're good at. You do your routinely things, and routines aren't bad. But the problem is that routines sometimes create complacency, and complacency is where your dreams go to die. Like, that's exactly where anything you could ever imagine of being epic, amazing, exceptional, extraordinary, like, that's where they're eliminated, is your comfort zone. All of those words are on the other side of comfort. Like, you have to embrace discomfort for a very long time to be able to utilize any of those words. And a lot of people don't understand that you have to surround yourself with people that know more than you, that have been training longer than you, that have failed more than you, that have done things that you want to eventually do, because they have the experience of going through those processes. And that experience, like, is huge. It's what I stand by. Like, everything I've become is because I've reached out to people who have embraced those processes, have come up short, have been successful, but nonetheless have been a part of that process, and they have the experience that I don't have. And I'm okay admitting that. I think there's a huge ego problem right now in the world that we have to know everything. We have to be good at everything. And I'm here to tell you, like, that's just not the case. It's not realistic at all. There are things that I'm not good at. And if I'm not good at it, I'm not going to claim to be. I'm going to go to the professional that is good at it and learn the best I can from him or her. Or I'm going to get really, really good at it and become a professional myself, right? But if I'm not good at it, I'm not going to claim to be the subject matter expert. I'm going to look, seek, and get mentorship from the person who knows exactly what it takes to achieve a certain task, a certain physique, a certain, physical attribute, and then go from there. And I really have to highlight all of my life being as successful as I've been to mentorship. Mentorship is huge, guys. It really, really is. And understand that mentors know who are good mentees and who are the interested, not committed. And I want to kind of dive into that. In this career field, guys, you can see right away, right through the people who are interested and the people who are committed. And the people who are committed, they are going to be sought out by those mentors. And those mentors are going to pour everything they have into them because they can see the passion. Like you can't, shout out to Pablo Jenner. He says he didn't create this, but I swear it's the best quote ever. Like you can't fake passion. Passion comes from the heart. And passion is directly related to your actions. And not just simply what you do, but how you do it. Like when you go about things in a way that shows that you are so excited, you have so much energy, like you can't fake that. That comes from a place of just so much heart. And you just can't fake it. Like you really, really can't. And understand, guys, that like that's kind of what it takes for these mentors, these people who have put so much into the craft, the job, life, developing in so many different areas of mindset, physical, financial, educational, skills. Let's talk about the skill set of developing, just becoming a good firefighter, a good, individual leader in specific skill sets. They see the people who work hard and they gravitate towards dumping all of their knowledge and information into those people because they are the ones that are going to be the most receptive. I've heard before, like, Julian, I just can't find a mentor. And it's kind of disappointing that they have that opinion or they have that perspective when they've yet to do any type of self-development themselves. They've yet to do any type of work to become better themselves. And that's where it starts. Like everybody wants to know, how do I be the best firefighter coming in to be new? You be the best new guy that they can be. You be the guy that knows his job like nobody else. You're the guy that's the most fit. You're the guy that's the most positive. You're the guy that works the hardest. And then when you get into a new position, you become the best at that position. And eventually you'll get into a position of leadership and you become the best at that position. Then you'll have a new guy that you can see is working relentlessly and tirelessly to be the best that they can be. And then you pour into that guy, right? And it's just a trickle effect. It's a domino effect. So kind of moving on, guys, to the last thing I want to talk about, and it's as of late, is complete, utter, eruption of my life personally, from the standpoint of professionally, from a business, and from an emotional state. And it really stems from trying to do everything and coming up short in many different areas. And the biggest takeaway I've gotten from this whole experience is that if you do everything, you're not really doing anything. And if you think about that, it makes complete sense. And this is how. If you're doing everything, that means that everything you're doing is getting a small percentage of you because you can only do so much with so much time. So if you're filling your time with so many different tasks, so many different things, two things are going to happen. You're going to deliver a diluted product or a diluted you, and you're going to make mistakes. So you're going to deliver a bad experience. You're going to deliver a person that's not fully in tune or present. And then along the way, you're going to make mistakes. And that's kind of where I'm at, and I'm rebuilding at this time. And for anybody out there that knows my journey, I want you guys to know that it has really, really made me a better person to make the mistakes I've made, truly learn from those mistakes, and be better for it. It'd be very simple for me to walk away, to close things, to stop doing certain things that are much bigger than myself. This podcast is bigger than me. Prepare to Fight Fire is bigger than me. The fire department is bigger than me. Everything that I'm a part of is bigger than me. I'm just a part of it. And I try to be the best that I could possibly be. And sometimes you got to fuck it all up to realize what you have in front of you and to understand the power that you have as one human when you focus on certain tasks and you give those tasks everything you got, right? So the biggest takeaway, guys, is do less, but do less at 100%. And when you do that, what's going to be a result is excellence, right? It's not going to be a good outcome. It's going to be an excellent outcome. And that's what I'm striving for, is excellence and be a true professional. So guys, I wouldn't be here without those failures. I wouldn't become the person I am without making the mistakes, falling head first, making a complete fool of myself. But all we can do is learn, be better, be nicer, and never stop, never quit. All right. You can't be the person who never quits. So anybody out there listening to this, you just got to keep moving. Keep moving. You have everything it takes. Don't let yourself stop you from achieving anything that you want to achieve. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. Please stay tuned for the next episode. Like, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram. For anybody out there that currently is kind of struggling in their mindset, their fitness, and needs mentorship, needs a plan, a program that has intention, that is going to get you results, guys, shoot me a message on Instagram. Just use the word podcast, and I know you'll come from this episode, and we'll jump on a call and see how we can really help you out. All right, guys. Hope you guys have a killer day.